this past Thursday, we, the Elon community, was summoned to Rhodes Stadium, to the 50-yard line of the football field. We were summoned there to be with our Elon football team, mourning the loss of Dimitri Allison and celebrating his life. If you were there, you heard one of his coaches get up and say what a bright light Dimitri was. Full of fun. Everybody loved him. If you were there, you heard one of his professors take the microphone and say what a great human being he was. Fun to teach, a wonder in class, a great guy, full of happiness in life. If you were there, you heard his teammates say what a great teammate he was. Full of life, full of fun, so happy to be around. Which makes us wonder, why? Why? Someone so alive, so full of life, in a nanosecond, decided that there was nowhere else to go except to commit suicide. And if that's not bad enough, on Friday, the media explodes with the acts of terrorism in Paris. Last toll, 130 perished, 352 wounded or maimed, about 99 of them critically. Makes us want to look up and say, why? Why all this senseless, useless violence? What is wrong with our world? My youngest nephew, Sean, called me today to tell me that he went to visit my parents' gravesite, his grandparents, and he took a picture and texted it to me of the plate that said my parents' last name, my mother's first name in her years, my dad's first name in his years. And he shared with me just how much he was touched just by being in the cemetery. On Sunday afternoon, those of you who follow my Snapchats or Instagram know that I usually take an afternoon walk around Willowbrook Park. But today, instead, I chose to walk in Pine Hill Cemetery, not far from our house, pondering life and its ends. The word that came to my mind was transience. Transience. You know transience. When you see it, a week and a half ago, this branch was full of leaves, full of life. Now, lifeless, dead. You know transience. How many of you have one of these? A flip phone. Something a few years ago I didn't want to live without. I was taught how to T9 text, and when I transferred to an iPhone, I couldn't text at all. Transience, the passing of all things. Nothing is forever. I checked on vocabulary.com and they offered a few definitions of transience. The attribute of being brief or fleeting was number one. Number two, an impermanence that suggests the inevitability of ending or dying. That same website offered some examples. Summer's quality of seeming to be over just as soon as it started. I agree with that. Maybe you do too. People often use the word when they're talking about good things, like beautiful days, a fun vacation that seems to be over in an instant. The word transience actually comes from the Latin transiens, meaning passing over or passing away. I heard a story once about a mother mouse and her 6 young mouselings in the middle of the night walking through the kitchen looking for a morsel. And as they turned the corner, they came face to face with this very large, very scary cat. The mother mouse was frightened for her life, but she had some courage. She got on her hind legs, threw her shoulders back, and looked into the face of the cat and roared, "Bow wow!" And the cat scattered 2 blocks up a tree. At which time the mother turned to her mouselings and said, "You see, my little darlings, the importance of learning a second language." Each one of us, my brothers and sisters, at one point in our lives, come face to face with that very scary, very large cat. When, for some reason, we feel it's the end of the world, the rug has been pulled out from under us, we don't know what to do. That moment comes. We have a key that Jesus gives us in the gospel. He says, when these things happen, you will see the Son of Man coming with great power and great glory. That means that when our personal worlds fall apart and the bottom drops out of our lives, that we will be able to see past the ugliness and the pain to the ultimate reality of all things. That God is still in charge. God still cares. God always has the power to make all things right, and intends to, but only in God's time. When my dear mother passed away 2.5 years ago almost, Chaplain Emeritus Richard McBride reached out to me immediately, and then he sent me a poem to contemplate. It was written in October 2006 by Mary Oliver. The name of it is When Death Comes. She says, "When death comes, like the hungry bear in autumn, when death comes and takes all the bright coins from his purse to buy me and snaps the purse shut, when death comes like the measles pox, when death comes like an iceberg between the shoulder blades, I want to step through the door full of curiosity, wondering, what is it going to be like, that cottage of darkness? And therefore, I look upon everything as a brotherhood and a sisterhood. And I look upon time as no more than an idea. And I consider eternity as another possibility. And I think of each flower as common as a field daisy and as singular. And each name a comfortable music in the mouth, tending as all music does towards silence. And each body a lion of courage and something precious to the earth. When it's over, I want to say, all my life, I was a bride, married to amazement. I was the bridegroom, taking the world into my arms. When it's over, I don't want to wonder if I have made of my life something particular and real. I don't want to find myself sighing and frightened or full of argument. I don't want to end up simply having visited this world. Profound words to me then, equally profound now. When I was ordained a priest, my mentor gave me a small plaque that said, "Priest of God, celebrate